Imagine your own mother looking you in the eye, calling you a failure, and then sticking you in the worst room in a five-star hotel, the noisy one next to the laundry. That was my reality. But my family was about to learn a shocking secret during our annual reunion. I wasn't just a guest at their fancy getaway. I owned the whole damn place. This is the story of how one weekend, meant to humiliate me, turned into the day I took back my power and exposed every single one of their lies. For years, I was the family's invisible disappointment. While my sister Clara was showered with praise, I was the quiet shadow, the artistic one who would never amount to anything. But this year's reunion was different. I walked in knowing a truth that would shatter their perfect little world. The dazzling hotel where they planned to mock me was now mine. Every year it's the same painful tradition. My mother insists on it, but for me it's just a weekend of being compared to Clara and hearing snide remarks about my life. I had planned to just endure it, to smile and nod through the insults, but I had an ace up my sleeve, a secret inheritance from my grandfather that was about to change everything. The moment I stepped through the revolving glass doors of the Grand Vista Hotel, my heart started pounding against my ribs. The lobby was all polished marble and shimmering chandeliers, and right in the center of it all was Clara, the golden child, soaking up hugs and laughter. As always, I was invisible, a ghost at the party. Then my mother's cold eyes found me. A frown instantly creased her face. "Amelia, I didn't think you'd actually show up," she said, her voice dripping with disappointment. I forced a smile that felt like cracking glass. "Wouldn't miss it for the world, Mom." Clara's husband, Victor, a man who measured everyone's worth by their bank account, scanned my simple dress with a sneer. "Looks like the graphic design business isn't exactly booming, is it?" he scoffed. They had no idea my little business was now a major agency with clients across the globe. I let him believe his fantasy. The truth would be so much sweeter later. As the manager, Mr. Henderson, handed out the key cards, my mother made a grand announcement of the room assignments. "Clara and Victor will have the presidential suite, of course. We'll take the executive. My cousins got deluxe rooms. Then," she turned to me, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear, "and Amelia, you'll be in room 108, the one next to the laundry." A wave of snickers and pitying looks rippled through the family. The humiliation was thick in the air. Mr. Henderson, who knew my secret, looked horrified. "Ma'am, perhaps we can find a better option for Miss Amelia," he started to say, but my mother cut him off. "Oh, it's not necessary. Amelia is simple. She doesn't need luxury." I met Mr. Henderson's worried gaze and gave him a subtle nod. We had agreed to keep my ownership under wraps. "It's perfectly fine, Mr. Henderson," I said, my voice steady despite the anger churning inside me. "Room 108 will be great." As I walked toward the elevator, my cousin Vanessa snickered. Same old Amelia, always happy with the scraps. The room was exactly as demeaning as they'd intended. A small, drab space with a lovely view of the service alley, filled with the constant rumble of washing machines. I sat on the lumpy bed and took a deep breath, steeling myself for the night ahead. This wasn't about revenge. It was about finally understanding why, after 30 years, they still treated me like dirt. At dinner, they sat me at the worst seat, my chair awkwardly tucked behind a large pillar. As they all ordered the most expensive items on the menu, steak, lobster, fine wine, I quietly asked for a simple salad. My father looked at me with that familiar mix of mockery and pity. "Can't afford a real meal, Amelia? We can spot you the cash if you need it." I just smiled politely. "The salad is perfect, thank you." The conversation, as always, was a shrine to Clara. Her promotion at the bank, her new mansion, her perfect life. "Our Clara always knew how to succeed," my mother declared proudly, "unlike some people who just waste their lives doodling." Suddenly, the head chef, Antoine, approached our table. When he saw me, he gave a deep, respectful bow that stopped all conversation. "Was the salad to your liking, Miss Amelia?" he asked. "It was delicious, Antoine, thank you," I replied warmly. The table stared, utterly baffled. You know the chef?" Clara stammered. I just shrugged. "We've met." I didn't mention that I had personally hired him 3 months ago. The night wore on, and their insults became sharper, fueled by wine and arrogance. The weight of my secret felt heavier with each passing moment. Was it time? Should I drop the bomb right here and watch their jaws hit the floor? Just then, Mr. Henderson appeared at my side. "Miss Amelia," he whispered, "there's an urgent matter that requires your attention." Victor rolled his eyes. What could be so urgent for Amelia? The hotel run out of crayons? I stood up, ignoring him completely. "Excuse me, I'll be right back." In the privacy of the office, Mr. Henderson was fuming. "Miss, I can't stand by and watch them treat you like this. This is your hotel." I placed a calming hand on his arm. "I know, but I need to understand why. There's a piece of this puzzle I'm missing, and I feel like I'm about to find it." When I returned, my Aunt Carol was grilling me. "What did that employee want with you, Amelia?" I brushed it off. "Just to mix up with the reservation." But I could see the gears turning in their heads. The special treatment from the staff wasn't going unnoticed. Later that night, as they all staggered off to their luxurious suites, I sat alone in the quiet lobby. Mr. Henderson brought me a cup of tea. "Your grandfather would be so proud of the woman you've become," he said softly. "He always knew you were the one who would protect his legacy." His words were a small comfort in the storm of my emotions. My grandfather, Arthur, was the only one who ever saw my true worth. The next morning at the breakfast buffet, the staff greeted me with quiet reverence, which my family was too busy stuffing their faces with free food to notice. My mother tutted at my plate of fruit. "Is that all you're eating? No wonder you look so frail." Then Victor chimed in with a laugh. "She's not frail. She's frugal. Bet she pinches every penny I just bit my tongue and ate my breakfast." The time wasn't right. Not yet. The day was a blur of scheduled humiliations. While Clara and Victor got premium spa treatments, my mother informed me with fake sympathy that my premium massage had to be canceled. "You'll have to settle for a basic one." I later found out she'd canceled it herself, claiming it would be wasted on me. Over lunch, the conversation turned to my grandfather's inheritance. "I still can't believe Dad sold the hotel before he passed," my mother said wistfully. "We never even found out who the new owner is." Clara sighed dramatically. "If we still owned this place, we could stay here for free. We could even give poor Amelia a decent room." The irony was so thick, I could barely stop myself from laughing out loud. That afternoon, I slipped away to my grandfather's old office, now my office. Mr. Henderson was there with a box of old documents. "I found his personal records, Miss Amelia. The ones about your family." My hands trembled as I sifted through old letters and photos. Then I found it, a letter from my mother to my grandfather, written 15 years ago. My blood ran cold as I read her words. "Dad, you have to stop treating Amelia like she's special. She's not like us. She doesn't have what it takes to succeed in this family. Clara is the one who should inherit your legacy." It was all there, in black and white. Years of letters where my own mother systematically poisoned my grandfather against me, painting me as a failure. She had orchestrated my isolation. It wasn't just sibling rivalry, it was a calculated campaign to erase me. "Are you all right, miss?" Mr. Henderson asked, his voice full of concern. "No," I said, my voice shaking, "but I will be." But there was another, even darker secret buried in that box. I found documents showing that my father and Victor had tried to trick my grandfather into selling them the hotel for a fraction of its worth, right before he died. He saw through their scheme and, in response, secretly changed his will to leave everything to me. A knock at the door made me jump. It was my cousin, Diane. "Amelia? What are you doing in here? This is a restricted area." Her eyes darted around the office, taking in the scattered papers. Mr. Henderson stepped in smoothly. Miss Amelia was just asking about the hotel's history. But Diane wasn't buying it. "Funny," she said, her eyes narrowing. "They won't even let us peek in here." I looked her straight in the eye. Maybe I'm not as insignificant as everyone thinks. For the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. "Grandfather always did have a soft spot for you," she murmured. I knew then that my secret was on the verge of exploding. The final night's gala dinner felt like the calm before a hurricane. The main hall was dripping with elegance, a perfect stage for the drama that was about to unfold. It was time to make a choice: endure one more night of humiliation, or reveal that I, the family reject, was now the queen of the empire they all craved. I walked in late, wearing a simple but elegant dress I'd designed myself. "There you are," my mother snapped. "We almost started without you." They'd placed me at the end of the table, naturally. Victor, already slurring his words, was bragging about his latest business deals. "I could buy a place like this one day," he boasted. My father raised a glass. "To Victor and Clara, the true pride of this family." The toast was a slap in the face. I left my glass on the table. Then, Diane dropped the first bomb. "Amelia, I saw you in the private office today. You looked right at home." The table went silent. All eyes were on me. "What were you doing in a restricted area?" my father demanded. I calmly sipped my water. "Just learning a few things about the hotel." "Why?" my mother scoffed. "It's not like you can afford to buy it." Victor let out a booming laugh. "Amelia owning a hotel? That's rich. She can't even afford a decent room." Right on cue, Mr. Henderson approached with a bottle of vintage champagne. "Miss Amelia, the champagne you ordered for the table." My mother stared. "We didn't order that." "It's a gift," Mr. Henderson said with a smile. "From me," I added quietly. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. "There are a lot of things you don't know about me," I said, looking around the table. My father's eyes narrowed. "What are you trying to say, Amelia?" "Spit it out." For a second I was tempted to unleash everything, but I took a different path. "I just wanted to do something nice," I said. "To celebrate us being together as a family." Their shocked faces were priceless. They never expected kindness from me. During dessert, Clara brought up the inheritance again. I'll never understand why grandfather sold the hotel in secret. I looked directly at my father and Victor. Maybe he knew some people couldn't be trusted. Victor slammed his hand on the table. "What's that supposed to mean?" My father grew nervous. "Elise, if you know something, you need to tell us." I just smiled. A few hours ago, I wasn't even good enough for a decent room. "Now you want my opinion?" I continued, my voice gaining strength. "Grandfather and I talked a lot. He told me his plans for this hotel. He said a family business is a mirror. It shows the real values of the people running it." At that moment, the hotel's general manager, Mr. Grant, came over. "I just wanted to ensure everything is perfect, especially for you, Miss Amelia." The special treatment was driving them crazy. "Why does everyone treat you like you're royalty?" my father demanded. This was it, the point of no return. "They respect my work," I stated. "What work?" "Drawing your little pictures?" Victor sneered. "I run a corporate branding agency," I corrected him calmly. "We have 30 employees, clients on 3 continents, and our revenue last year topped $3 million. Silence. My mother almost dropped her wine glass. "You're lying," Clara whispered. "If you were that successful, you would have told us." "Unlike some," I replied, my voice sharp, "I don't need constant validation, and there's a big difference between being humble and letting people treat you like garbage." "Then why did you take that horrible little room?" my mother asked, genuinely confused. I looked at each of them, letting my words sink in. "Because I had to see," I said honestly. "I had to know if there was any line you wouldn't cross, any limit to your cruelty." My words hit them like a physical blow. For the first time, I saw flickerings of shame in their eyes. "I'm not finished," I said, cutting off my father. "For years, I have swallowed your insults, your pity, your contempt. And for what? Because I chose a different path? Grandfather taught me that a person's worth isn't in their bank account, it's in how they treat people. He saw something in me you were all too blind to see." The dinner ended in a stunned, uncomfortable silence. As the others left, my cousin Vanessa stayed behind. "I always knew there was more to you," she whispered. "There's something else going on, isn't there?" "Something about this hotel," I just nodded. The whole truth was about to come out. The next morning, I dressed for war in a crisp ivory suit. My family was waiting at breakfast, watching me with a new, uncertain curiosity. My mother tried a tense, fake smile. "Amelia, dear, we had no idea your business was doing so well. You should have told us." "I tried," I replied coolly. "For years. Every time I mentioned a project, you'd change the subject to talk about Clara's latest bonus." At precisely 10 a.m., Mr. Henderson appeared. "Miss Amelia, the conference room is ready for the meeting you requested." Their faces filled with suspicion. In the main conference room, my grandfather's lawyer, Mr. Davies, was waiting with the entire hotel management team. "What is this, Amelia?" my father demanded, his voice trembling with alarm. I stood before them, my heart hammering, but my voice was pure steel. "Please, take a seat." I began by talking about my grandfather and his love for the hotel. "He built this place from nothing," I said, showing old photos on a projector screen. "But what you don't know is the true story of what happened to it after he died." My mother went pale. Mr. Davies stood beside me. "That's not quite right," he said to my mother. "Arthur didn't sell the hotel. He transferred ownership into a private trust." "A trust?" my father gasped. "Why weren't we told?" "Because," the lawyer said coldly, "the trust had only one beneficiary." Every eye in the room swiveled to me. I could see the horrifying realization dawning on their faces. "It can't be," Clara choked out. I gave a slow, deliberate nod. "Grandfather left the hotel to me. I have been the owner for the last 6 months." The silence was deafening. Then chaos. Victor was the first to explode. "This is ridiculous. Why would he leave his greatest treasure to you?" I turned my gaze on my parents. "That's an excellent question. And I think Mom knows the answer." My mother looked like she was about to faint. I don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I think you do," I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "I found the letters, Mom. All the letters you sent to Grandfather for years, telling him I was worthless, begging him to cut me out of his life and his will." A collective gasp went through the room. My mother shrank in her chair, exposed and defeated. "And I found something else." Mr. Henderson began passing out folders. "Documents proving that Dad and Victor tried to swindle Grandfather to force him to sell them this hotel for pennies on the dollar just before he died." My father's hands shook as he opened the folder. The evidence was undeniable. "This is a conspiracy!" Victor screamed, his face purple with rage. "You manipulated an old man. You're not qualified to run a lemonade stand, let alone this hotel." "The numbers say otherwise," I shot back. "In the 6 months I've been in charge, revenue is up 18%, customer satisfaction is at an all-time high, and we've been nominated for 2 major industry awards." The management team behind me nodded in proud agreement. It was then my mother asked the one question that mattered. "If you're the owner, why? Why did you let us treat you like that? Why did you stay in that horrible room?" This was the moment of truth. "Because I had to understand," I said, my voice cracking with years of suppressed pain. "I had to know if you really thought I was worthless, or if your cruelty had a deeper, darker root. What I found," I continued, fighting back tears, "was so much more painful than I ever imagined. You weren't afraid I was worthless. You were terrified that Grandfather and the world would see my worth. My mother couldn't even look at me. The letters make it clear, Mom. You couldn't stand that he loved me, that he saw himself in me. Why?" Her answer came in a broken whisper, a confession that had been buried for decades. "You were just like him. You had his eyes, his spirit, his ambition. He used to say you were his reflection, and me. I was always a disappointment to him. When I saw the way his eyes lit up when he talked to you, a way they never did for me, I grew to hate it. I grew to hate you." The ugly truth was finally out. Decades of bitter maternal jealousy. "So you made sure I would never have a chance to shine," I finished, a wave of sad understanding washing over me. "And you," I said, turning to my father, "you saw a business opportunity. Keep me down, and I wouldn't be a threat to your plans for the hotel." In the crushing silence that followed, I made the most important decision of my life. I could destroy them. I could kick them out and erase them from my life forever. But that's not what my grandfather would have wanted. Despite everything, I said, my voice ringing with authority, I am still a part of this family. This isn't about revenge, it's about healing. I walked to the window, looking out at the ocean my grandfather loved. Grandfather left one more thing in the trust, I announced. A letter. To be read to all of you. Today, Mr. Davies handed me the sealed envelope. My hands trembled as I began to read my grandfather's final words aloud. His letter was powerful and direct. It spoke of his sadness over our fractured family, of my mother's insecurity, of my father and Victor's obsession with appearances. He explained that he wasn't just leaving me a business, he was leaving me the responsibility to heal the family's wounds. The hotel is legally Amelia's, he wrote, but its spirit belongs to all of you if you are willing to rebuild on a foundation of love and respect. By the time I finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. My mother was the first to break. All this time, she sobbed, I was competing with my own daughter for the love of a father who already loved me. She stumbled towards me. Amelia, I don't know if you can ever forgive me. I was a terrible mother, blinded by my own jealousy. For the first time, I saw raw, genuine remorse in her eyes. My father looked broken. He was right. I spent my whole life chasing the wrong things. Clara came to my side, her voice soft with revelation. I never understood why he favored you. Now I do. I was chasing his approval, but you were chasing his wisdom. I wanted his money, but you wanted his legacy. Only Victor remained defiant. So now we're all supposed to cry and congratulate you for stealing an empire? He snarled. But Clara didn't back him up. She stood with me. Then, Mr. Davies dropped one last bombshell. There is one final clause. Arthur stated that Amelia has the authority to grant minority shares in the hotel to any family member who demonstrates a true commitment to his values. Their eyes snapped to me, filled with a desperate, pathetic hope. Let me be clear, I said firmly. No one is buying my forgiveness with good behavior. Grandfather wanted real change, not a performance. So what now? My father asked. I proposed a new path forward, a family council, not to run the hotel, but to guide its philanthropic mission, to honor my grandfather's legacy of community and kindness. And the shares? Victor pressed. Will be earned, I stated. Through actions, not words. My mother took my hands, tears streaming down her face. I don't deserve a second chance, but if you'll give me one, I will spend the rest of my life trying to be the mother I should have always been. In that moment, years of pain began to melt away. That's all I ever wanted, Mom, I whispered. Victor, disgusted by the scene, stormed out. I need time, he muttered. Take all you need, I told him. The door is always open. His departure felt like a weight being lifted from the room. We could finally breathe. Epilogue. A year later, the Grand Vista Hotel is more successful than ever. But the real success story is my family. My mother and I are slowly, carefully rebuilding our relationship. Clara left the bank to become a social worker, finding fulfillment in helping others. My father now mentors young entrepreneurs through a hotel program. Even Victor came back, humbled, and now uses his business skills for good as our head of expansion. Room 108. It's now a small museum dedicated to the hotel's history and its founder, my grandfather, Arthur. At the end of the exhibit, his final letter is framed on the wall, a constant reminder that a true legacy isn't built with bricks and mortar, but with love, forgiveness, and the courage to heal. The pain of the past may never completely disappear, but we are no longer defined by it. We are building a new legacy, together. Some stories are more than just entertainment. They're a mirror, reflecting parts of our own lives. If Amelia's journey moved you, please help us continue to share powerful stories that deserve to be heard. Consider becoming a member of our community. Your support makes all the difference. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great one.